Jenkins, three, right wing to win it. He made it. He made the three from the right wing.
The long desperation by Dagger. Oh, my!
Welcome to our Rise and Fire Hoop Show. Clint Schweitzer, Noah Groninger, so great to be here with you, and we have a great show today. In fact, we're going to be talking some Missouri basketball with none other than former Missouri basketball great Derek Grimm.
Yes.
Stick around for that. So obviously things are not going in the right direction for the Missouri Tigers currently, but he was on some great teams back in the day, on an Elite Eight team as a freshman. He was the guy trying to defend Tyus Edney as he made his big shot in 95, and Derek Grimm played with some great guys, Jason Sutherland, Melvin Booker, Lamont Frazier, Paulo Linney, Javon Crudup. So we're going to get into it with Derek Grimm and the current state of the Tigers, what he's up to now, all coming up here on the Rise and Fire Hoop Show. Noah, we got some other stuff too because college basketball is hitting its stride. Conference season has begun, and this is my favorite time of the year. You got NFL playoffs. College basketball is heating up.
Conference season is beautiful, yeah. In Kansas, they played a conference game against K-State the other night. Didn't go so well for K-State, as many opponents. It doesn't go well for them against Kansas. And we had at least a three, maybe people are arguing 3 or 4 steps. Either way, it's an egregious travel, starting basically from the 3-point line. And just not called. Ref side didn't see it.
You had Svi Mikhailuk take the ball up the court with just over 5 seconds to go. He goes the length, takes 3 or 4 steps there in the middle of the court, just goes up and lays it in. And I'll tell you what, Kansas fans want to know why people hate him so much. This is why. Because a team goes to Allen Fieldhouse, plays their hearts out. Kansas State, maybe with their best offensive team in years. You got a Wondu playing really well for them right now. They have a better offensive team. They went in and battled it out in Allen Fieldhouse, much like that Missouri team did back in 2012. And just like that Missouri team did, they were absolutely just hosed at the end by a call. Yeah. In Missouri's case, it was Phil Pressey getting just demolished by Thomas Robinson, no call. And in this case, you have a traveled in the game. It's unbelievable. Kansas, it's become a national joke this week. Just people talking about the call, talking about how Kansas always gets those calls. If you're Kansas, you don't want that. You don't want that perception of a team that can't come in and ever have a chance to win because they're going to get a blown call at the end. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, get a little home cooking or just KU cooking for Big 12. I mean, it is a joke. I mean, you look at this team and just now Kansas State, would they have won in overtime? Maybe they put 2.2 seconds back on the clock, around to maybe 2 seconds on the clock. There, does Kansas State have a prayer at getting a last-second heat
Probably
to go
not,
in? But they deserve that chance at least. And going into overtime against a Kansas team, maybe they're outmatched going into that point. But it had been a tie game, and you have to give them that chance. You cannot just completely blow a call that just everybody could see at home on their couch. It's just inexcusable.
It really is, and I think that this is gonna come into focus more because Kansas, this is not their best defensive team. They've got some problems down low. Aside from Landon Lucas, they're pretty thin down low. There's going to be some teams like West Virginia. They're going to be able to pound it on Baylor and Kansas State again when they go back to Bramlage. I think Kansas could be right for the picking. Maybe Baylor, who's sitting there ranked second right now, maybe the new number 1 team after Villanova goes down. You might have the Baylor Bears number 1, still undefeated.
You got TCU and K-State putting up 80 points, and then they go in other matches. They can't put up the 80 points against other defenses. I mean, Kansas, they're able to outscore some of these opponents.
But you got Jackson, Mason, and
Graham.
Yeah. Those 3 are just the best backcourt in the country. But
exactly.
You've got the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Noah, your Gonzaga Bulldogs have moved up to number 5. They're going to probably go undefeated. Their best win so far has been over Florida, and then they beat Iowa State.
They beat Arizona as well.
And Arizona, but right now it looks like that this is going to be an undefeated team. St. Mary's was supposed to be a team that competed with Gonzaga.
Lost to Texas Arlington. I'm sorry, goodbye. You're not beating Gonzaga. It better not happen.
But is this the same old story? Gonzaga's going to go undefeated, probably going to be a 1 seed, and then who you run up against? A Creighton, a Wichita State, and then is it one and done? Is it back to an Elite Eight? Where does this end for Gonzaga? I know that's a little early to tell. It's only January.
Yeah, but this team has to go undefeated in conference play. You're looking at the only team that can possibly beat them is the St. Mary's, but I said they lost to Texas Arlington. This is not a team, although they were number 12 to start the year. They've fallen to number 19 after losing to Texas Arlington. They have been winning games, but it's against the BYUs, but they're no match for Gonzaga. Gonzaga should just go undefeated, get to conference play, and win the conference championship, go in, be a number 1 seed, and I don't see this team as the same old falling in the championship. I see them maybe getting to a Final Four once and for all, but when you come up to the likes against Kentucky, Malik Monk, or a Duke when their guys get healthy and a Grayson Allen tripping our players out there, I just don't know how they can match up against the premier teams in college basketball because they don't have all these McDonald's All-Americans, lottery picks, and they're just going to come up against a powerhouse that they just can't match up against.
You talked about Duke and Grayson Allen. 1-game suspension for Grayson. The Duke Blue Devils lost that game. They lost at Virginia Tech badly. Coach Krzyzewski's on the shelf with back surgery for a few weeks. Jeff Capel's taken over. Is this a team in turmoil? And did Allen, was the punishment, did the punishment fit the crime?
I don't know if it's a team in turmoil. I mean, they just won by 50 points last night or the other night against Georgia Tech, but I don't like this. Grayson Allen being suspended for just 1 game. That just sends a bad message. He's tripped 3 different opponents this year against Elon, Louisville, Florida State. I mean, you just cannot do that. I mean, 1 game suspension just because Coach K is having back surgery and he's like, well, he's got to come back when I'm here. I don't want him coming back and Jeff Capel has to deal with this. I mean, it's just not right. So I think he should have been out until Coach K comes back. I mean, if he's out a month, Grayson Allen needs to be out a month. He needs to learn. He's a loose cannon, ready to go off at any moment. He's a crybaby child on the bench, losing his mind. He's crying after the game in a post-game press conference. He may have some mental problems here. I mean, we have got to figure this out. You just can't say, okay, we dealt with it after a practice one time. Are you running gassers up and down? This isn't a high school prank that has gone wrong. This is a college basketball player learning to become a man and a better basketball player. You can't have him tripping players out there, costing other players possible season-ending injuries, career-ending injuries. This has got to be dealt with, and 1 game is not enough.
Well, it was dealt with. 1 game out there when you're playing.
Get out of here! 1 game.
When you're talking about the ACC conference season, you missed the very first game of that, and Duke loses that game. Grayson Allen's a guy yes, he's a great player. He's a leader for this team.
Are you doing what's best for the program or just the kid?
You got to do what's best for both. The kid is here. He did his time. He spent the game. He sat out the game. Maybe he didn't need to miss any games. To me,
no games.
Absolutely. Why?
He's tripped 3 kids already.
For one, I think that was completely overblown. You see what the tripping is? When you see the elbowing and the stuff that goes down low, what Grayson Allen was sticking his leg out. You saw what Christian Laettner did back in the day, stomping on people. Didn't even get a foul.
The game has changed. You can barely put your hands on people.
The game has changed. Yeah, there's one and dones and transfers. The game's not as good as it once was. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I agree with you with that.
You got Christian Laettner stomping on people. Didn't even get a foul for that. Come on. He spent his game. Let him finish the season. We're going to see. Duke's maybe going to dig their own grave anyway. With Krzyzewski out, they're not as good. I don't know. I don't think that right now the McDonald's All-Americans have stepped up for Duke. And maybe now they're going to have to. Allen's back, but is the chemistry going to be there? Maybe they don't play for him. Maybe they agree with you. Maybe they think that he should be gone. But hey, it's going to be interesting because it's unbelievable. If that's all we have to talk, this college basketball stuff, it needs to get better. The product on the court needs to get better. So we stop talking about this officiating. Scrapes in the middle of games. That should be the last thing we talk about.
Yeah, it should. And we've got a big guest coming on talking about a team and a program that has been great throughout the years and great when college basketball was great. It's taken a dip. So is this program, but the Missouri Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to go ahead and welcome our guest at this time, Derek Buck Grimm, a personal favorite of mine growing up for the University of Missouri. He was on the Elite Eight team in 1993-94. Derek, it's so great to hear from you, man. Happy New Year to you, and how's everything going?
Good. It's going well, man. Happy New Year to you guys as well.
Well, it's good to have you here. I tell you what, just kind of going back here, I've become the nostalgia for Missouri basketball has never been so high, maybe because the program is so bad right now. I know you're out in your hometown of Morton, Illinois, and I know you're not that close to the program probably these days, but my goodness, things are just really bad. The current team's 5-8, not looking good here in Columbia, Derek.
Yeah, you know what? I'm trying to follow Missouri basketball from a distance, and I have a lot of pride for playing for Mizzou, and I have great hopes for the future, but I know right now we're going through a little bit of a rough patch.
Well, and it is a rough patch. This is year 3 for Kim Anderson, and I know you played for under Kim Anderson. He was Norm Stewart's assistant when you played. What kind of a guy is Kim? Everyone talks about what a nice guy he is, what a good coach. He won a Division II national championship at Central Missouri. But what was your relationship like with Kim, and what kind of a person was he as a coach?
You know what? Coach Anderson's a great guy. He recruited me to back in, 1993, he recruited me to come to Mizzou, and I think he saw a lot of himself in me as a player, and he really is a great guy. I talk to him every once in a while, even now. I think he's a great coach as well. I think, he's in a tough situation, and sometimes when you get momentum going the wrong way, it's just tough to respond. And, I'm sure he's doing the best job he can, and he's not a quitter. I know that about Coach A. And, anybody who's had success at the college level, whether it be Division III, II, I, they obviously know basketball. And he learned from one of the best, in Coach Stewart, who knows the game better than, probably most people on the planet. So,
well, you were recruited.
I hope he can get some positive momentum going and then get some wins, and I wish him the best, of course.
Well, you were recruited, of course, to play at Missouri in 1993, like you said. I mean, you're from Morton, Illinois. You're a 6'10" forward that could step out and play guard. Had a great, beautiful shot from behind the arc. What was your history as far as getting recruited by Missouri and Norm Stewart? How did you wind up at Missouri, kind of to begin with? What was the story behind that?
You know what? I was a top 100 player coming out of high school, so I wasn't like, a top 15 or 20 where everybody's pounding down your door. Illinois, in fact, recruited me, significantly, and they're only an hour away. My mom went to Illinois. I probably would have gone there, but at the end, they weren't that interested. So, it came down to Missouri and Marquette and Wisconsin and two of the local places around here, Bradley and Illinois State University. And Missouri just was a great fit. I wasn't physically ready to play major Division I basketball as a freshman. So, they basically, Coach Stewart and Coach Anderson sold me on the idea, like, hey, you can come in, learn the ropes, then we're going to have 7 or 8 guys that graduate, and, you'll have a chance to step in and prove that you can play at the Big 8 level. So, I think that's kind of what drove me. And obviously being on that 93-94 team with all the great senior leadership, and then Kelly as a, one of the best freshmen in the country, Kelly Thames, that is, I was just able to learn what I could from those guys and be a part of, one of the best basketball teams at Mizzou ever.
Absolutely. You were a freshman on that team. You talk about not being physically ready, but you were thrust into action early in that season as Missouri plays one of the most probably historic games in school history, a 3 overtime win over Illinois. Everyone fouled out of the game. Melvin Booker fouled out. Paulo Linney, I think, Lamont Frey, everybody gone. Derek Grimm comes in. Jason Sutherland in. Kelly Thames in. And you guys get that team to a win. And just kind of what was that like as far as, how important was that for your momentum, just your confidence as a freshman playing in a major college basketball? I mean, you guys get that win and to have that special season, 14-0 in the Big 8, Big 8 champs. I mean, what a season it was.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on it, I think that game in and of itself propelled us to, going 14-0 in the Big 8. There were obviously a lot of important games after that, but it gave us the confidence. And sometimes, once you get that momentum going in the right direction and you're very talented, you can make great things happen. And then, obviously a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. But that game for me in and of itself was huge because, it was against my home state, and I was going back to Illinois for a couple days after that game. And, I had a brother-in-law at the time who was a huge supporter of Illinois, and my mom went there, and, I wanted to make an impact, and it wasn't looking good with a couple minutes to go in the game. And then we force overtime, and we run out of players, and you got to throw Jason and I in there. And
it worked out.
We were able to make some things happen. Part of probably the beauty of that is us being a little naive and not really understanding the moment we were in until afterwards. You just kind of go out there and do what you practiced.
Well, another great game. It didn't work out quite as well. The 95 Tyus Edney game. He runs down the court, shoots it over you. You're standing there with your arms up. What did Coach Stewart say to you? Just don't foul, do not foul.
Yeah, that was a game that year in and of itself, our team was struggling a bit. We got through the Big 8 season and then got into the NCAA tournament and then beat Indiana in the first round. And then go on to play on number one seed UCLA. And we played really well for, most of the game, probably maybe a little bit beyond our capabilities at that point. But, got to the final, 4.8 seconds. And, our object was not to foul. I mean, there weren't many people, and there aren't right now, that can get, down the court the whole way without passing the ball and getting all the way to the rim in that short of a time. But Tyus did it, and, I think we were trying to trap him, get him to get rid of the ball. Hindsight's 20/20. You'd play it 100 different ways now, but I would have jumped and tried to attack him as a shooter, but it didn't work out that way. And that is a tough game, and that's a game even around here. Everybody's like, "Oh, you were in that game," in Central Illinois. They all talk about that game. So that's just part of the deal. Someone ends up on the top end of that, and someone ends up on the bottom end.
Yeah, and CBS will remind us of that every year come March, and that's just always just a very hard thing to take. But it was still a very good season, and you guys had to navigate that season without Kelly Thames. He'd hurt his knee before the season. I mean, that was an integral part of your team. But I mean, I want to get into Norm Stewart because obviously you talked about his knowledge of the game of basketball before, and he was sort of in the twilight of his career as your career was winding down at Missouri. He only coached for I think 2 more seasons after you left. What was your relationship like with him? And he just had such a reputation of having such hard-nosed teams, and you guys fit that to a T. Yourself, Jason Sutherland, you guys were just tough. Corey Tate, I could go on and on. I mean, you guys had such tough, hard-nosed players. What was your relationship like with Norm, and kind of what it was like playing for him?
I mean, overall, my relationship with Norm was pretty good. I mean, it could be rocky at times. He's a tough guy to play for, and hence he recruited certain people that could play under his system. And there's also a lot of talented players that couldn't. But he's a brilliant basketball mind. There's no question about that. I always got along pretty well with Coach Stewart, and I had a lot of respect for his knowledge of the game and for his leadership. But I mean, there's no mistake about it. He's a tough man to play for. He would demand a lot out of each individual player and a lot out of the team. And, when things are going well, that's a great thing. And when things are not, you're not getting a lot of W's out there, it can be challenging. But, so is life. That's the way it is. So I learned a lot of great lessons from Coach Stewart and from those teams and from the guys I got to play with. Great players along the way like Kelly Thames and Jason Sutherland, who were in my class, and of course Melvin Booker and Lamont Frazier and Javon Crudup and Julian Winfield. I mean, the list goes on and on. Corey Tate, a lot of great relationships where I still talk with those guys even today.
Well, you got to come back in 2014 as the 93-94 team was honored at the Hearn Center in an exhibition game. I know that was just a big thrill for you guys. It was great, a big thrill for us fans to see you guys back, to be honored. You did the autograph session where so many people showed up, they had to turn people away. What was that like coming back and just sort of revisit? I don't know who Jason Sutherland looked like a character from Sons of Anarchy or something. He's got the huge beard and the shaved head. I was a little intimidated, to be honest. What a great guy, though, great athlete.
He's always been a little bit intimidating, so that's just Jason in a nutshell. But, that was a great experience. I'm so glad I came back for that. It's amazing to see the support in the state of Missouri for some great teams that played under Norm Stewart. And I think that's my hope for the future of the University of Missouri, is I know that that's still there. So they get things going in the right direction. I mean, all those guys, all the people, the fans come out again and support the squad. That team, I mean, was exceptional. I mean, there's no question. I mean, to go 14-0, get a number one seed, and have a leader like Melvin Booker and Javon, and then have the Big 8 freshman of the year and Kelly Thames. I mean, we just had a lot of leadership, and then Coach Stewart obviously controlling the reins from a coaching standpoint. It was a special team. It was great that the folks in Missouri still remember those those players, and it was a great honor to be a part of that.
Well, absolutely. And for people like my age, I'm 32, and for a lot of people my age, Missouri basketball was the foundation of their love of sports, especially here in the state of Missouri. And what a source of pride the program was. And just for me, we talked earlier, and I talked about going to the Norm Stewart basketball camp and how special that was, just to be on the court, shooting around with guys like yourself. I remember my buddy claims to this day he made a 3-point shot over you. I said that's impossible. He's 6'10". There's no way you did that. His name's Daniel. He still believes that to this day, and we're going to set that straight. I doubt it happened. But that's got to be special. We're 22 years removed from that season, your freshman year. It's crazy how time flies, but also, like you said, just what a source of pride this program has, and then the fans having in players like yourself. I think that's what's important here. I think.
Yeah, I think, you know what, the state of Missouri is a great state. The people of Columbia are great. The supporters of Mizzou are great. I'm just a huge fan, even though I was still, I live in Illinois and went back to my hometown and have a business here. I still love to go back to the state of Missouri and be a part of that. I get back to Columbia a couple times a year, and it's great just to see the folks there. And I know that they support Mizzou, through thick and thin. Right now it's a little bit thin, but it'll come back. That's the cycle of college athletics, except for a few elite programs. And it's great to come back to a football game and a basketball game there. And you know what? The people are very, very loyal at heart.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about the fact you're back in your hometown of Morton, Illinois. You've listeners would like to know, kind of what you're up to. You talked about how you were doing some coaching, and you got this business. Or what's been life like for you? I know you played professionally here in Kansas City for the Knights for a couple years, and so what's it been like, kind of moving back to the hometown, and just kind of what's life looking like for you these days?
Well, I'll give it the short story version of this, but I played after being at Mizzou from '93 to '97. I played professionally for 8 years, some in the minor leagues, briefly in the NBA, and mostly overseas. I've got 2 kids at this point. One's a junior in high school, one's a freshman. My wife and I own a business here in my hometown outside of Peoria, Illinois, right in the middle of the state, much like Columbia is in Missouri. And I have a screen printing, embroidery, and promotional product business where we do a lot of manufacturing of custom T-shirts and embroidery apparel. So I had a great run after college, playing a lot more basketball games, and got to see the world, got to see a lot of places I never probably would have gone to. And now I'm back in my hometown, small community of about 17,000 people. And, a local business person. I'm helping out with my friend is the head high school basketball coach here. We're having a good season, and I'm just a volunteer assistant there, help out where I can as player experience. I'm not really a coach, but I have enough experience where I can lay out some situations and try to help some of the young kids. But I would not change my 4 years at Mizzou in the least bit. Those were great years. My wife and I have a lot of great memories there, and I love to go back to Columbia.
Oh, absolutely. Life is good. I tell you what, what's the name of the business? Because, here at the Great American Sports Network, we always need apparel done. We struggle finding people, and I'm dead serious, we struggle finding good ways to do it. So, and a lot of Tiger fans I know out there would like to hear, what's the name of the business? Where can we find you online, my man?
Grimm's Inc. www.grimmsinc.net. GRIMMSINC.net.
Hey, so, great.
We basically order in a bunch of blank clothing. We do all the decorating, whether it be screen printing using ink or embroidery using thread. We do all that in-house, and then we're a middle person for a lot of ad specialty products. So. But yeah, any type of business we like, I'll get back with you. And
sure.
You can always contact me or my staff, and we'll get you taken care of.
Hey, Derek, that is so great. Thank you so much for taking the time out, man, to do this. And we'll stay in touch, man, as the time goes on. Always good to hit you up on social media, and I'm always glad to shoot you a text. We'll talk some Mizzou basketball going forward, man. Cannot thank you enough. Best wishes and Happy New Year to you. We can't thank you enough, man.
Hey, Happy New Year to you guys, too. Thanks for having me on the show, and I wish you guys the best in 2017.
Absolutely. We'll follow up with you. We'll talk soon, my man.
MIZ.
You betcha, ZOU, buddy. Thanks a lot.
You, buddy. Yep, have a good one.
You too. Great to catch up with Derek Grimm.
Yes.
Hope to do this some more with some other players in the future. Going back to that era because it was extra special for me growing up with all the pride that I had in Missouri basketball, and it was such a source of pride for me, and I'm such a huge fan. And to see where Missouri's at right now, who by the way just lost to LSU, they're 5-8 on the season. The writing's on the wall. Kim Anderson's going to be gone, and I know he's a great guy. He's a nice guy. He was not cut out for this.
No.
He's a Division II coach. He could not recruit at this level. He could not get teams to play at this level. This is year 3, and it's going to only last a couple more months. And I know that's hard, because someone like Derek, who played under Norm Stewart and Kim Anderson at that time, but this show, Rise and Fire, there's not going to be a lot of talk about this current Missouri team because there's just really not a lot to say right now.
There's not, but I mean, just talking to Derek, I mean, you can hear it how he's just devastated where this program is, and just going back to those great moments, just
Made
3
me
overtimes against
nostalgic.
Illinois,
Yeah.
95, Tyus Edney.
Yeah.
I mean, he thinks maybe he could have done it different. Maybe he would have gone into him, but they were told not to foul, and that's what he did.
That's always was my theory. I'm glad you asked him that.
Yeah.
And great to catch up with Derek. Hope to do that again down the road, guys. Let us know. Tweet us at GASN Sports. You got a favorite team. Maybe you're a Wisconsin fan. Maybe you're a Baylor fan. Maybe you're a Florida fan. They're finding themselves in the top 25, by the way. Maybe challenge Kentucky in the SEC. Tweet us. Let us know who you'd like to see us have on. What's some of the
Subscribe
topics?
to the YouTube channel. Catch all our new shows. We've got interviews on every single show. We're always going to bring you a guest. So tune in for that. Give us just responses, comments on what you guys want to hear next. We'll talk about your team. Whoever it is, let us know.